President Donald Trump and the EU have reached a trade deal, and now the focus turns to the world's second largest economy. Trade talks between the Trump administration and China are underway in Stockholm. Joining us right now with the latest is Nicholas Burns. He served as U.S. Ambassador to China in the Biden administration, and he worked under 6 presidents of both parties. He's now a professor at Harvard's Kennedy School. And Ambassador, thank you for being with us today. Let's talk through what's at stake with China. It feels like this negotiation is bigger, more complex, and maybe will take longer than just about any of the other negotiations we've seen to this point. But people had a lot of questions about the EU, too. What's your sense about where we are in terms of progress with this?
Well, Becky, it looks like if you look at what President Trump and the Chinese have been saying, it looks like this is heading towards a deal. I would think sometime in the autumn. And a trade deal is necessary to have a summit meeting. And I think both countries want to have a summit meeting between President Trump and President Xi.
Ambassador, I think we've lost the audio. Mr. Ambassador, I think we've lost the audio there.
Okay.
Can anybody
Okay.
hear him?
I cannot hear him.
Okay.
It's nice to see you. He looks great. He can probably hear us maybe saying that, but I don't think we can hear him. Can you hear us, Ambassador?
Hear you fine.
Oh,
okay.
Great. And you're back.
Go. Sir, go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't know if that was your microphone or if that was in our ears. It was off for us, I think, and it came back when Andrew came back. So I'm going to assume everybody else heard you. Sorry for interrupting, but you said you think this reaches agreement potentially in August. A lot of questions about what's going to be included with this. What level would you guess in terms of the tariffs overall, and what else will be included in terms of security? Is TikTok going to be part of this?
Becky, I don't know if this trade deal will be finished in August. I think certainly by autumn, because President Xi and President Trump want to meet in October and November. And the Chinese tradition is they don't work things out at the table with President Xi and the foreign leader. They want everything worked out ahead of time. So this may take some time, but frankly, the U.S. has some leverage here. I think it's good for President Trump to have finished the Japan and EU deals. That gives some help to the U.S. side. But this is complicated because the Chinese are going to ask for an end or a freezing of U.S. technology constraints on China. And that's going to be, I hope that's going to be difficult for the Trump administration to agree to. You saw that the Trump administration agreed to NVIDIA selling H20 chips to China. There are some reports this morning that the Chinese are asking the U.S. to freeze all technology restrictions by the U.S. on China. I think that would be a great mistake from a national security standpoint, because we don't want the PLA, the People's Liberation Army, to be acquiring the most advanced American technology to outcompete the U.S. military. To me, that's the biggest issue in these trade talks.
Yeah, I mean, both parties for some time have been convinced that there are real security issues in dealing with China. The argument has been made with NVIDIA that if you are not on the forefront of trying to power the AI race, you're going to get left behind as a nation. Do you agree with that?
Well, I certainly heard that from a lot of the tech companies when I was ambassador until January of this year, and I sympathize with it. But the problem is, our most important national security interest is not being overtaken by the People's Liberation in power in the next 10 years. And as AI and other technologies are militarized, as they certainly shall be, we don't want to be the second most powerful military in the Indo-Pacific. And so that's a national security concern that I frankly felt had been agreed to by Republicans and Democrats over the last couple of years. There was bipartisan support for the restrictions on advanced semiconductor technologies that President Biden put on China. So that's a big Chinese ask in these negotiations as we go forward.
Although we've seen the Chinese retaliate very effectively with the ban that they put on rare earths minerals, with magnets, with some of these things, and what they can do in return. We're pretty tied up with all of the chips being made and manufactured in Taiwan. There's so many different things that are at play here. I hear you, and it's happening with the backdrop of, probably the Chinese that were behind this break into Microsoft with its SharePoint 0 days, too. So there's a lot of things happening between the two. What takes the forefront, security or trade?
Well, I think for the United States, it has to be security. Obviously, we want our tech companies to do well, but there have to be some constraints on what we sell to China. Becky, an additional factor here is even if the two sides, and there's a truce right now, can agree to a final deal, what will happen to the sectoral tariffs that President Biden put on China? 100% on Chinese EVs, 50% on semiconductors, 25% on lithium batteries. I would imagine that the Trump administration would want to hold on to those, to continue to apply them. Otherwise, U.S. automobile manufacturers will be engulfed by BYD and other lower-priced and very high-quality Chinese exports. So I don't think this is a negotiation that can be finished in a week or two. This is extremely complicated. But I think, President Trump has been right to be tough-minded with the Chinese because if you think about forced technology transfer, IP theft, what the Chinese are doing to keep U.S. companies out of the Chinese market, this has to be a tough-nosed negotiation, and it may take a little bit more time.
Were you upset with the H20 sales of NVIDIA chips? I mean, those were chips that were specifically designed for China to try and prevent them from getting the most updated chips, allow them to do things from a commercial perspective, but not military.
Well, the Biden administration had prohibited those, and the early steps of the Trump administration had been quite tough on all such technology exports to China. So it is the tip of the iceberg. And there are some reports out there that the Chinese are going to ask for a lot more. I hope the Trump administration will hold the line because there's nothing more important than retaining our military edge over China in the next 10 years.
Okay. Ambassador, things we should watch for to indicate that there really is a deal that's in the near future?
Well, will China make greater inroads in helping the United States with the fentanyl problem? The great majority of precursor chemicals come from the Chinese black market. President Trump and President Biden have both pressed this issue personally with President Xi. I think that's something that the Chinese need to give at these talks. I'd watch for that as well.